Hey everyone, I'm Almar of almarsguides.com, and in this video here I'm going to be talking to you about where to find ancient science books, engineering research, and AI cores. Unlike the last video that I uploaded to my YouTube channel, I'm not going to give you an overall synopsis of the entire world and everything to find in every zone throughout the entire world. Instead, I'm going to be covering specifically where to get ancient science books, AI cores, and engineering research. And before we actually jump into all of that and I start showing you these locations, I want to show you this page right here on my website. This is a mid-game zones, loot guides, and map locations. This page is where I'm getting most of my information from that I'm going to be narrating to you during this video. You'll see on this page I break each zone down. Well, I break the entire world of Kenshi down. Sorry, hiccups. Zone by zone, and I essentially tell you what to expect in each area. Like for Vayne, you can see the Tower of Fog, the Post-Ancient Workshop, all of the Hive Villages, and I basically tell you this is what a Hive Village is, this is what the Western Hive is, this is a Lost Library, this is the Post-Ancient Workshop, and I break down every single area in every zone, and I do this for mid-game zones as well as end-game zones. This, in my opinion, this is the biggest information dump and one of the best information dumps you can find for this sort of information in Kenshi. There is not a zone breakdown anywhere else online for this game. So in other words, yes, I am quite proud of this accomplishment. I think I did a pretty good job with the mid-game zones and the end-game zones on my website. So back to the actual game, we're going to basically be I'm going to be giving you more or less a succinct version of the information that is on my website. So Leviathan Coast, nothing up here gives ancient science books, engineering research, or AI cores. So we can roll that out. The Iron Trail, Ancient Tech Lab here. Ancient Tech Labs have a 100% chance of giving you one AI core, and you will typically find other technology-based loot here, such as ancient science books and engineering research. Cannibal Plains doesn't have anything of note. Floodlands, Suspicious Lab, you have a chance of finding one to three ancient science books there usually. There's usually a trail of breadcrumbs that lead up to the second floor that the cannibals leave for you because it is owned by cannibals. And in that trail of breadcrumbs, there is a chance of being an ancient science book. And then there's also a chance of being an ancient science book amongst the loot that the cannibals have among the upper floors. Aside from that, in Floodlands, the Leaning Tower and the Ancient Labs both have a chance of containing ancient science books, engineering research, or AI cores. Actually, I don't think they can spawn AI cores. I think they can only do engineering research and ancient science books. Ancient Labs here, much like the ones in Floodlands, has a chance of giving you ancient science books or engineering research. Usually, I always get I get a decent amount, usually half a dozen or more from Obedience. Vayne. It has, right up here, it's got one of those hangars, the same hangar that is in Purple Sands up here, the Post-Ancient Workshop. Typically, the hangar Post-Ancient Workshops have a lot of engineering research and usually one or two ancient science books, but that's it. I do not think they can spawn AI cores, but I could be wrong. Aside from that hangar, south of that, you have the Tower of Fog, which always has one ancient science book at least, as well as the fog prints there. And in the southern portion of Vayne, you have a Lost Library as well, which they don't contain any ancient science books as far as I know, so they're not worth mentioning. Or worth diving into. I did mention it, so. Okay, let's see. Let's scroll through a few other zones, see what we can come up with. World's End right here. World's End does have a vendor that will sell ancient science books, but that's it. He does not sell anything else. Well, I mean, he sells other items, but he doesn't sell, like, engineering research or, you know, the other thing. AI cores. Tower of Goats, right up here in northern Sinkun. This has one ancient science book. Guaranteed spawn in there. Howler's Maze, right over here. This has, hold on, let me pull it up on my website. An archive town as well as a lost town. The archive town typically has one or two ancient science books, and the archive town is down right here in the bottom right, where you see me mousing around. And then the lost town, it's typically right here above this big ass crater, in this big ass crater. And that typically has, well, that big town, abandoned town, has the mega crab world boss in it, And typically it has a few abandoned, well, it does have a few abandoned buildings, and usually there are ancient science books to be found inside of there. Gut has nothing. The Eye has nothing. Grey Desert has nothing. This area here, so Narco's Trap does have ancient science books and engineering research, and I think it also has a chance of spawning an AI core. Deadlands, the Deadland workshops in this area do have ancient science books and engineering research, and I think they have a chance of spawning an AI core as well. The Black Desert City, this is one of the best locations for you to actually get AI cores, engineering research, and ancient science books. Specifically, the vendor right next to Black Desert City here, you'll see where I have moused over on the map, it's called Scrap House. This vendor is one of the only vendors in the game that will sell, well, actually it is the only vendor in the game that sells ancient science books, engineering research, and AI cores. There are other vendors, like the one in Flats Lagoon, that sell ancient science books and engineering research, but he doesn't sell AI cores. This is the only vendor that sells all three. Also, it's the only vendor that sells AI cores in the entire game, so that's worth keeping in mind. Everything else in that zone doesn't have AI cores, engineering research, or ancient science books. So this Forbidden Isle up here, Spider Factory, it does have AI core, ancient science books, and engineering research. Actually, quite a few of them, if I'm not mistaken. It also has Spider Leader Guy, who has a Me Too quality staff, if I remember correctly. And then northeast of that, you have this ruin, which is, I think it's a tech lab, right? Let me end game list. Sorry, pulling that up on my website. Yeah, it is an ancient lab. You can find ancient science books there, AI cores, and engineering research at the ancient lab up here. It's marked ruin on my map because I haven't been there on this playthrough, but it... Sorry, burp. It is indeed an ancient lab. So let's see. Shem doesn't have anything. Venge does have some stuff, so let's skip the Venge. The Tower of Abuse, you'll find Agnew here, who's a unique recruit. You'll also find 2 skeletal leaders. They both drop Me Too quality weapons, and you will also find ancient science books, engineering research here. Old Control Tower might have an ancient science book, and it might have an engineering research too, but I could be mistaken. I do not think it does. Let's continue east. Arak doesn't have any loot, but it does have the Bugmaster. The Grid. This workshop complex actually has nothing. However, to the south of the workshop complex, there's another workshop complex that does have ancient science books, engineering research, and then the other workshop complex to the west of that one also has engineering research and ancient science books. The Crater, the only dungeon in here, if you want to call it a dungeon that has loot, is the Ancient Labs right here. Ancient Science Book, engineering research can spawn in them. Not much else, though. I don't think AI cores can spawn there. Ancient Tech Lab up here, much like all of the other Ancient Tech Labs, it has a 100% chance of spawning at least one AI core. And you can also find Ancient Science Books and engineering research there as well. Let's see. We'll do Swamp real fast. So Swamp has the Swamped Lab right here, which has a chance. It's guarded by blood spiders and typically always does have some ancient science books to be found. I do not think AI cores or the other thing, engineering research, can be found there. So the Burning Forest, Ancient Labs. This typically has ancient science books and engineering research. I don't think AI cores can spawn there, though, but I could be wrong. The Old Prison might have some ancient science books, but I don't think it's a guaranteed chance. The way this game works is loot is spawned into a location via the artifact system. Usually it will pick a monetary value of a certain amount of cats, and then it'll just spawn random items until it reaches that monetary value. So what loot you get at each location varies from playthrough to playthrough. So keep that in mind. Island Lab right here. This is home of King Gurgler, and also where you'll find ancient science books, engineering research, and AI cores. It is a pretty good location to find all three of those things in my experience. The other one that I skipped, Flats Lagoon. This town is one of the only places to buy engineering research and ancient science books. You can buy 2 engineering research and either 7 or 8 ancient science books, depending on your file. Stubbs Gamble. I don't think anything in here has the books we're after. Sonorous Dark, the one thing worth mentioning here is the Skin House HQ. You can get the peeler machine recipe from there, which is important. Also from the Scrap House up here in Black Desert City, I forgot to mention, you can get the Fog Mask, which is best in slot light armor recipe for your face, the blueprint rather. And you can also get Falling Sun, which is the highest pure damage DPS weapon in the game. You can get both recipes at that location. It's the only location you can buy those recipes. As far as Stobe's Garden right here, so Ark will have some ancient science books and maybe an engineering research spawned in the loot that spawns there. Iron HQ might be the same, might have an ancient science book, might have some engineering research. I don't think it'll have AI cores though. Old Empire Supply Outpost. I do not think they can spawn. Yeah, according to my website, they can't spawn ancient science books, engineering research, or AI cores. Southern Hive. This will have some ancient science books and maybe some engineering research. I do not think it will have AI cores, though. I think that that location is devoid of it. The last, let's see, let me scroll out, see if I missed anything before I do the last zone. I don't think I missed anything. So the last zone here is Ashlands. So every Ashland Dome 1 through 4 will have ancient science books, engineering research, and AI cores to be found inside of the buildings. Also, all throughout Ashlands, you will find cleanser units that walk around the zone. These are basically big robots that have very bad ragdoll physics. Usually when you kill one, they like the body like rubber bands way into the sky, and it's hilarious until it's time to loot it. Then it's not hilarious anymore. And that is the #1 way to get AI cores in this game, to hunt cleanser units in Ashlands, take the AI cores, and then you can use them for researching and everything else that you want to. And that really is all there is to it. That is, in my, to the best of my knowledge, all of the places you can find ancient science books, AI cores, and the other thingies. This is the other location. I actually forgot to mention this in my other tower too. This is a tower of spiders. I'm pretty sure you can get ancient science books there as well. A few of them, or have a chance of getting them. It's just the tower that's guarded by spiders. I'm sure there's a few locations that I missed that will have ancient science books or engineering research. If I did miss a notable location that you guys recognize that I missed, please let me know in the comments section below. But aside from that, if I got anything wrong or left anything else out, please also leave me a comment below. And yeah, aside from that, I will catch you guys around in my next Kenshi video. Don't know what I'm going to be doing next, but I'm on a roll with videos right now, so I will catch you guys around in the next one. Peace.